I'm Sam, I'm a hedgerow herbalist. Join me on these series of videos for Cunham Valley Organic Adventures as I guide you through the seasons and show you how to make the most of Mother Nature's medicine chest. We will identify, forage and harvest for what grows on your doorstep, and today we're going to be talking about hawthorn. We will also learn a little bit about the magic, the folklore and the habitat associated with it and what wildlife benefits it has. The hawthorn comes into its own around the end of April and the beginning of May. This is often why it has many different names, but the maythorn, may blossom, is part of its name. It will come out after the blackthorn, and you'll always know that it's hawthorn because the leaves come out first and then followed by the flowers. So this time of year we'll be foraging and harvesting the flowers. Hawthorn is an amazing heart healer, and so I will be making tincture and tea out of the flowers and the leaves. The best time to forage is on a day like today, really nice sunny dry day. Wait until all the dew has dried off the leaves and the flowers. I'll always have a paper bag because it's gentler and kinder. You don't know how long you're going to be out here foraging, and I just pinch off the top. As always, we never pick a place that's right by the road because it will be full of pollution. Never over harvest, but as you can see, hawthorn is abundant and it's in all of our hedgerows, all of our fields. And so I'm just going to take enough for what I need. Try not to damage the plant, or definitely don't damage the plant or the tree that you're harvesting from. I often ask permission or have made a connection with the plant before I harvest from it. And so if you can see, I'm just going in. You can see the flowers are nice and open, the leaves are there, and I'm just going in and pinching. There's a natural break and just popping that into my bag. I'm not stripping a branch bare, so I'll take a few from one and I'll move up to another part. And what I'm going to be doing with these today is taking them home and making them some tea and putting them into a tincture. There are so many myths and folklore tales associated with the hawthorn. It is so good for you. My mum's generation, they would call this bread and cheese, and they would take the little buds and the leaf and you can eat them. Obviously make sure they're not covered in insects. And it has a light floral taste, it's really not unpleasant. The hawthorn is a really hardy tree. It grows everywhere in the UK, it's one of our native species. It will grow in almost any conditions, and that's why it's used all over the country as hedging. Farmers use them in their fields for separating boundaries, and also they grow wild. They'll equally be at home in a garden. I've got a couple in mine, some in tubs, some form part of a hedge, and they're great for nature. Over 300 plant-eating insects and animals depend on hawthorn for their survival. The ecological value of this tree is really high because it provides protection and shelter as well as food for many species of birds and animals. It's a food source for caterpillars of moths. It provides plenty of shelter in the thorny thickets for wood mice, slow worms. In the autumn, the berries, which is what the flowers will turn into, and they are called haws, they will provide food for many species of birds, including migrating ones such as redwings and fieldfares. The hawthorn is also known as the fairy tree, and you'll often see a single lone hawthorn standing in the middle of a farmer's field. This is because they believe it's bad luck to cut one down because it's under the protection of the fairies. It was seen as a portal to the world of fairy, and tales of kidnapping are rife. Legend has it, if you spend the night sleeping under the May tree, especially on May the 1st, you'll be taken to the fairy world. Often you will see May trees, hawthorn trees, planted by the sites of holy wells. Again, this is to symbolise how sacred and protective they were, and you might often see little cloths, little rags and trinkets tied to the branches, and these are called clooties, and again they were left as offerings to appease the fairies. It's supposed to be bad luck to ever bring branches of May into the home, depart from on the 1st of May. And this was when the fairies allowed us to celebrate them and celebrate all new life forming. And that's why in pagan traditions, a lot of couples get hand fasted on the 1st of May. Just looking behind me, this is typical habitat for the hawthorn. It's growing in a thick hedge. There's the hawthorn there. We're underneath a ash tree. And if you see on the ground, these are animal tracks. And they run through here, and growing underneath the hawthorn and the ash tree is another herb that we can forage. So here's our dense hawthorn thicket. This one, because it's shaded under the ash, is just taking a little bit longer to come out. And then these things growing here, they're known by different names: jack in the hedge, garlic mustard, hedge mustard. And you can actually pick these and put them in your salads. And the leaf has a really, it's not quite wild garlic, but it has a really strong garlicky taste. And obviously it's full of vitamins and minerals. If you look along this hedge here, you can see pretty much all of this is hawthorn and blackthorn. And this is just your classic countryside wild hedging that is so important for our wild animals and insects. This is the area that I was foraging nettles, and still am foraging nettles. As you can see, there's loads of them, and they're all coming up quite high now. They're still really good to pick. There's cleavers here, there's white dead nettles, so we can have all of those. And then this is another example. Here is a May, a hawthorn, just about ready to come out in blossom. Next to it is the blackthorn. She's just finishing, and the leaves are coming out. With the blackthorn, as I say, the flowers come out first. And then just a little bit there behind me is blackthorn that's just finishing. Still a lot of flowers and no leaves yet. Here, underneath the hawthorn tree, you can see how diverse the habitat is. So we've got a little shield bug there sitting on top of a nettle. We've got cleavers, white or dead nettles here. And I think I've just seen a ladybird disappear under some of those leaves. You can just see little purple petals here. That's from the purple dead nettle. Again, all of these can be foraged and used as medicine. One of the possible reasons for the hawthorn having its bad luck reputation is that when the blossoms are out in full force, they're highly scented, but actually what they're supposed to smell like is the smell of rotting and decaying flesh. This tree is a classic example of the lone hawthorn tree in the middle of a farmer's field. Here is another classic example of how hawthorn is used in rural and suburban places to separate fields from housing. You can see the beautiful white blossom going all the way down the field there. So not only does it look amazing, it provides so much support for wildlife. One of the simplest ways to connect with hawthorn is to make a flower essence from it. And this is one that I've got in my garden. You can see I've had it about 5-6 years, and it's in this pot. It's doing really well. I am going to plant it in the ground as we move through, go into the winter. I'm just going to make a flower essence. So I've got a little cup here filled with spring water or filtered water, whatever you can get. And then you don't want to be touching the petals. The idea is to let them fall into the water and just infuse their energy. And what you're doing is taking on the energy of the plant. And so you'll have come out to the plant and maybe connected with it beforehand. And you ask the plant if you can have some of her flowers. And then we're just going to take a pair of scissors and gently snip them so that the flowers fall into the water. And we've just got the flowers in here. And then we're going to leave them in a sunny space for about 4 hours. And have the intention of connecting with that energy while the energy of the hawthorn infuses into the water. So yesterday we went foraging for hawthorn and we found out about its habitat,
where it likes to live and grow, what animals like to shelter in it, how important it is for the environment and for ecology and for supporting and sustaining wildlife. And we harvested some of the flowers. So I brought them home, and these were some of what we harvested, and they're just starting to dry out now. And I've made a tea with them. And you can see it's starting to change colour now. And you just, throw a handful in your teapot, put some hot water in, let it brew for 10-20 minutes, and then you can have a nice cup of hawthorn tea. And as we established, hawthorn is a really good heart healer. It's great for your blood pressure. It helps you when you need the heart to heal on an emotional level as well. And that's where we harvested our flowers and made a beautiful flower essence. So this was our spring water, and we just harvested gently some flowers from hawthorn and let that sit in the sun for 4 hours. And then how you make the actual flower essence is you strain off the flowers and use a coffee filter for that, and then return the flowers to the plant or the earth if you're not near the plant. And then you really want glass bottles, a dark glass bottle, and you put these are, I think they're 100ml bottles. So you put an ounce of your flower essence in, and you top that up with brandy. And that is known then as your mother essence. And this will actually keep for years. So this is your mother essence of hawthorn flowers. And then you want to make a stock essence. So you get another bottle and you fill that halfway up with spring water or filtered water, and then halfway up with brandy. And you put in 2 to 3 drops of your mother essence. This becomes your stock essence. And then a third time you do it again, another, and possibly a smaller bottle, smaller glass bottle. Again, halfway spring water, halfway brandy, and 2 to 3 drops of stock essence. And that becomes your dosage bottle. And that's what you would take 4 drops under the tongue or on the tongue when you feel the need of it. Hawthorn brings you courage and opens the heart and gives you strength. But don't just take my word for it. Don't just Google it. Don't just look in a book. Go and sit with hawthorn and see how that makes you feel. Sit and feel if you need the energy to even make the flower essence, because it's not for everybody. What you can also do is make a tincture. And this is one, the colour of that. This one I made in 2017. And the hawthorn tincture is made over 2 stages. So this time of year, April, May, you harvest your blossoms and you pop them in a jar, and you can make it small scale and you can use a jam jar, or you can make it a bigger scale, use a ½ litre or a litre bottle. Fill it with your flowers and your leaves. I mean, as I say, when I harvested here, you can just see I've got leaf there, I've got stalks, and I've got the flowers. So you want your fresh plant material. So you harvest, you fill up your jar on the same day, and you top that jar up with vodka or brandy. Vodka is a cleaner spirit. And then you tuck that away for 6 weeks, shaking every so often, strain that out and leave that somewhere in a dark place. And then when the haws come out, when the berries of the hawthorn come out in September, October time, you harvest them, you pop them in a jar, and you top that up with your hawthorn flower tincture that you made in the spring. You let that sit somewhere for 6 weeks, and then you strain that. Now the haws themselves, the berries, are really high in pectin. They're full of vitamin C, antioxidants, which is why they're great food for wildlife. So you'll need to squish it through through a sieve, because it sets to jelly. It's really high pectin levels. Squish that through, strain it after 6 weeks, and this is what you're left with, and this is your hawthorn tincture. And this is something you would take to keep your heart healthy, to keep your veins healthy, to keep your system flowing. It's all about the circulatory system. It will lower blood pressure if it's too high. It will raise it if it's too low. But really, really important is never take any medicines like these without checking with your doctor, particularly if you're on blood pressure tablets already. And so to leave you with one final piece of folklore to do with the May tree. At Beltane, which is on the 1st of May, weave a small crown of May blossoms and leave that out for the fairies. And it said if the fairies find that, they will bestow untold blessings upon the maker. Enjoy working with the May blossom.